Welcome back to my shop. I was on Facebook Marketplace the other day and I came across a couple of planes. And after a few messages back and forth, it turns out one is a Bedrock, it's a 605, and a Bailey number 6. So let's start with the Bedrock. The Bedrock series has a 6 in front of it for some reason. So this is just a number 5, but it's a Bedrock, so it's a 605. That's one way you can always tell them. And they have Bedrock written on them, which also helps. This one's missing the front handle. I ordered one. Both of these planes seem to be pre-war, although on the number 6, it seems to be pre-war, but there's a plastic knob on here which would put it during the war. But it's not blue, which would make it during the war. So it might just be an oddball. Maybe they just replaced that. Who knows? Going back to the number 5, it's a corrugated version. I've got one here. This is a 5.5, a 605.5. I think it's one of my go-to ones, which is probably why the number 6 is not so popular. Either you grab the number 5, the jack plane, or you just go for a larger one like the 7 or an 8. These will never be collector planes. These are just going to be users. I don't need either one because I've got plenty. I just couldn't help myself. So let's go ahead and take apart the number 6 here. This is the chip breaker. It's not in bad shape. Lever cap, the blade, and this is the frog. There's a plastic knob that's kind of throwing me for a loop. I'm dating it. All right. If you're looking for a used plane, you want to look for cracks in the casting and any repairs. That's one of the first things I look for. When I picked these up, they both looked good. Don't really think it's going to take that much to get them cleaned up. And time for the 605. This is in pretty good shape. The screw is broken in here, so that'll be fun. I have access to a tumbler, which is in a shop about 15 minutes away. So I went there with all the big parts, and I chucked them in there. I let them go for an hour. While they were sitting there tumbling around, I went to the hardware store. I picked up a few things, Scotch-Brites, a little WD-40, some machine oil, and this little thing. The tumbler did a really good job, except for on the 605, the corrugated bottom, the media, the little ceramic media, wasn't small enough to get inside there. So I thought this thing might work pretty good on that. So I'll put that in the drill press and I will try to clean that up. Success! You're taking your sweet time. You guys gonna hang out here? Be good. Okay, it's come to the time to sharpen. There's a couple things we have to do. We have the blade and the chip breaker here, and you need to put them together and then hold them up to the light. And there shouldn't be any light between the chip breaker and the blade. This one's pretty good, but I'm going to go ahead and just flatten the chip breaker as well, and I will sharpen the blade. And this is not a sharpening video, so I'm going to whip through it pretty quick. I basically use water stones and a Veritas jig. The nice thing about this system is that it's got a little knob here on the side, and that's for doing the micro bevel. Why water stones? Because I want to make it very difficult on myself. So I'm going to clean up the chip breaker here first. I'm basically holding this kind of just down at an angle from the stone. So I'm catching my towel here a little bit. That's good. And I'm going to flatten the back of the blade. It's always good to have a Sharpie. Just hit the back of the blade with it, just to see where you're flat and where you're not. Hey, out, out. Okay, I think we're ready. So you want the chip breaker to be just right there, just about a 30-second short of the tip of the blade. So again, this is the Bedrock, and it gets its name from this large surface area here on the frog and on the casting, and it sits perfectly inside there. So these pins here hold the frog down to the cast iron body. This screw here adjusts the frog forward and back. So that needs to go in first. So this is the lateral adjuster here, and then we have the screw here. This is what engages the blade into the wood. I think I'm adjusted pretty well there, so I'm going to go ahead and lock down the frog. Now, if you have this screw too tight and you're really pushing to lock down the lever cap here, you won't be able to adjust the plane. Now, I'm going to put on my replacement front knob. Uh-oh. Let's see what's happening here. I think we're ready for a test drive. Oh, we're not ready for a test drive. What we need to do now is make sure that the sole of the casting is flat. So you have to do this when it's under tension and everything's together. I've got the blade backed off. Again with the Sharpie. That's all the Sharpie gone, so that's pretty good. That's nice and flat. Let's give it a test drive on a piece of wood. I've got a piece of hickory in my end vise. And let's start giving it a whirl. I moved it quite a ways forward. And we're only cutting off the right side, so I'm going to move the lateral adjuster to the right side so that will even it up. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Well, the 605 turned out really nice. The number 6, not so much. The problem with it is that the blade has a little banana in it, and it's also a little concave or convex. So I tried flattening it as much as I could, but I'm just going to throw it together and give it a whirl, see how it works. All right, I think that's pretty good. I can still adjust it. All right, I'm going to take it over to the granite there and just see if the sole is flat, and then we'll try it on this bit of hickory. All right, let's give this number 6 a try. I always keep a lot of paraffin wax around, or not a lot, but just for the bottom of the plane, for screws. The sole of this plane it's pretty flat, so happy with that. The only problem is I wish that blade was a little flatter. But the lever cap does put some pressure on it. There we go. So there you go. I've got a couple of perfectly good users here. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.